Hey, and welcome to Bolt Action 1944, guys. I am finally going to get this building tutorial going for you. And so I'm just going to kind of go over, basically how I build these buildings. I'm not actually going to build one because it takes far too much time. But I'm just going to kind of go over how it's done. It's really pretty easy. So first things is some of the things you're going to need. You're going to need a hot glue gun. You're going to need an ink pen, black preferably, box cutter, razor knife. You're going to need lots of glue sticks. You're going to need a pair of scissors. This can be helpful. It's an angle cutter, but I have not had much luck cutting straight edges with it. So I will show you where that can be helpful. It may take some trial and error, but other than that, and where are they? You've got to have these. You need these magnifiers. It's just the easiest way to do this. If you're trying to look through a magnifying lens, it's just hard. A lot harder this way. This moves with you, and you don't have to worry about it not getting knocked over. And so some of the other things you're going to need is this is a piece of ghost line. I don't know if you can see the ghost line there. It's ghost line foam board. And this is what I build the walls and floors with. The reason I use ghost line is because it's perfect 90-degree angles and dimensions. So when you're cutting your pieces, there's no trial and error. You can get exact cuts and everything fits together nice and square and perfect. So that's the way I do that. Now, you also need a sheet of poster board. This isn't the foam board, this is poster board. It is also ghost line, as you can see. And I'll go over why you need that here in a minute. So first thing is I will show you a few of the buildings here that I have built. This is one of them. This is my church. Everything is scratch built from this. The roof. Okay. Everything comes apart. I actually have stained glass here glued into these windows. And the steeple comes off, and there's a little floor there for, let's see if you can see that. And the sniper sits in that steeple. Usually that's what people put in there, snipers. So that is the church. Also, I'll go over how this is done. This makes it look just like brick. So I cut a piece of it's what they call Scotch-Brite pads that have a little foam on one side and a hard scrubber on the back side, and I cut a rectangular piece out of it. And then so what happens is you'll paint this building with some black. Don't use spray paint. Do not use spray paint because this foam board in here will melt away on your edges and it'll mess it up. So you want to brush it on or roll it on. And then I mix up a little bit of gray paint and then a tiny splotch of black in it. And you take the little foam and you stick it in and you twist it and you kind of swirl that. That's how you get these discolorations. You just kind of swirl that on there. And then this allows you to just dink, dink, dink. And then since you've already based this in black, you've got the grout. It looks like, the cement of the walls holding it together. And then you just go across, make a row, and you come back and you do half, and then you go across, and you just keep doing that all the way up, just like stacking bricks on a building. It's so simple. It's very time consuming. I think this church, I've got probably 30 plus hours in building this church, and that looks like one of my stained glass is coming out. I'm gonna have to glue that one back in. the heat will mess with your hot glue in that building too. So these things have seen a lot of table time. And then this is my hotel. It's actually the Hotel Quellenhof, and it was I modeled this after the Battle of Aachen. In the Germans' headquarters, they had holed up in the Hotel Quellenhof. This was the first German city to fall to the Americans after they crossed into Germany. And so the hotel, they were just, the rest of them were just there. The rest of the town was demolished. I mean, they just bombed the crap out of it. The hotel was still standing, and finally the Germans surrendered. But so this is the Hotel Kohlenhof, and I use it for lots of, just any hotel. It doesn't have to be the Battle of Aachen. And so the outside is like a stucco. I use some plaster of Paris. This is foam board, and then plaster of Paris, and you just kind of you got to kind of brush it on kind of roughly so that it gives this texture like it's actually stuccoed. And basically everything else is built the same way. This actually has a removable floor, which is in need of a little bit of repair. So, and then there's this is massively time consuming. The frames for the windows, those are all little pieces that square pieces of wood that I cut to size and glued them in, and then painted everything. So yeah. So now I will show you how I make the walls. So I'm going to take a piece of foam board here. And what you're going to do, and this is where the magnifiers come in handy, because it helps you see these lines really good. So let's say we know, I don't have a tape measure, but these are 1/2 inch squares. So if I know my wall is going to be 5 inches high, so I'll need one. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I believe that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. See, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. Okay. So then I'll come along here and I'll make a mark there. Now it does help to have a ruler, because I mean you can do this by eye because you can see the ghost line, and that's the way I'm going to do it here. But you can use a straight edge once you make a couple marks here. So I got a wall that's 5 inches high, and it would be here. So this is 5. Sorry, we don't need that. All right, and then let's say I need one that's 7 inches long. So this wall is 5 by 7, 5 inches high, 7 long. So then I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then I'll make this corner. Come down here and I know where that is. Okay, so now I've got it outlined. So then I'm going to just follow this line. Take your time, don't be in a rush, because you want this really straight. This is how the buildings fit together perfectly. All right, so there's that one. And I'm going to come down here. Okay, now I'm going to cut out my first wall. So the first thing you're going to do is this foam board has foam in the inside and then a hard shell on the outside. So that's another thing about this kind of foam board. Some of the foam boards that you get that doesn't have the ghost line, this is almost like a paper. I mean, it's really fragile. Still has the same kind of foam core, but this type stuff here, this is a hard shell. I mean, you can't even hardly dent it. Whereas, if you just touch other stuff with your fingernail, it's going to dent. So the first thing you have to do is you come along and you just scribe the outer. Just come along and you want to break that. And you go down your line. And you're going to break that that outer skin, basically. You don't want to go all the way through because it's really hard to cut it straight when you're cutting all the way through, and you will damage your inner foam core. Okay, I've cut that one. And I'll come along here and cut this way. And if you mess up, you just start over. Just cut you another piece, because it's really important that you get the walls exact, because otherwise it's going to just look weird when you put it together. All right, now, so I've done that. Now I'm going to come back and I've broken that, and I'm going to go through. This also allows you to, and it takes really 3 cuts. So now I'm cutting through the core, okay? And then my third and final one is going through the back. Okay, got that one. And word of caution when you're doing this, don't cut near your leg or here and cut, because I've actually cut through my blue jeans when it went and slipped on me. If you try to cut all the way through in one shot, a lot of times it'll go crooked on you. By breaking the outer skin and then going through in steps. See, now, there we go. So, nice smooth cut. The core's not all wrinkled up. If you try to go through it in one swipe, it'll just totally tear up this inside core here. And then when you go to put your walls together, it's not going to look right. You're going to tell that there's something wrong with it. So, all right, so there's a wall here now. So this is a 7-inch, and let's say we want this building to be 5 inches this way. So now I'm going to do a 5x5, and it's quite easy to do this now that you have this. So I can come up here, and I know I want to go here. Let's see. So it's going to be. Now let's go this way. Yeah. All right. That's my 5. There we go. Now, you have to kind of angle your vision, because this ghost line only shows up at a certain angle of the light bouncing off of it. So sometimes you can't see it. So you may have to look at it at a certain angle to see it. Okay, there we go. Now, so once again, I want to make it. Also helps to have a very sharp blade. This actually is not a very sharp razor knife. I've used it quite a bit. So you want to have some extra blades, because you're going to go through some of them. They seem to dull really fast when you're doing this. Just paper, but I don't know. It gets dull. Trust me, you're gonna want to have, and don't be in a hurry. Just take your time. When you rush, you're gonna make mistakes. So. And when you make your second cut, don't try to cut through the back. You're just trying to ease your way through that foam core without wrinkling it up and making it. Yeah, see this one, my blade is really dull, so it's not wanting to cut through this. Yeah, I can feel it biting. That's okay. This is just a demo, so if it's a little bit not where I want it, then we're okay. So there's your second cut. Now your third. Remember, you're going to make 3 cuts: outer skin, core, and back. The back skin. Yeah, this blade's already telling me, oh, I'm tired. I don't like using craft knives because they're so small, and you need to be forceful and exact with this. You need to have a lot of control. Whereas the pencil um, craft knives, you don't have that grip that you have with this. This is, I can make sure I'm doing exactly what I want to do with this. So, all right, there we go. Now, with the cutter, you're supposed to be able to put this on here, and you push down and you cut across, and it cuts a nice 45-degree angle on it, and you do the same thing with the other side. And then they're supposed to fit together. But what I've found is these edges will not be perfect because you tend to move a little bit, and so these things will have a little wave to them, and then when you go to try to put them together, they're really going to show. So for me, I'd rather go like this, and then I'll try to hide this core with either some plaster of Paris, smooth it out real nice before I paint it. And sometimes just a lot of paint, you can actually just put extra paint on there, and it'll make it go away. So that being said, I have my hot glue gun is hot. And what we're going to do here is we're going to lay down a small bead. Like so. You have a limited amount of time to do this and get it right too. And you want this to be perfect. So you want to make sure, and you just got to hold it for a minute. Now, if it's not perfectly 90-degree or perpendicular, that's okay. You want to get it close as it hardens. It has a little bit of flexibility. And then when you start putting the rest of the walls together, so yeah, that's still hot. So I will set that down, and you have to set it like this. And sometimes it helps to come in here if you want a little bit of extra strength. But if you're going to put a floor in it, so what I'll do with floors is I'll cut a little 1/2-inch strip of that, and I'll hot glue it in, and you still have the ghost lines. It's typically helpful. I think I glued these on the outside, but you typically want to glue the ghost line on the inside. That way, when you lay down your little strip that holds the floor, you'll have a line to set it on, so it's perfect. And then that way, the floor it sits nice and flush into the building when you put it in. So there, I think that is cooled. And so what you'll do is you'll go ahead and make another one of these, make 2 of them, and then you're going to glue them together. Okay. And that's going to form your walls. Then you can come back later and cut your windows out with your razor knife, and you got. So if the grid is on the inside, you're going to cut your windows from the inside. Okay. And if that's the case, you want to do it before you glue your 2 halves together. Okay. So that being said, and then what you'll do is after you build both your walls, you cut out your doors, cut out your windows, cut your floor out. Now you can use foam board. Problem with foam board, and I did this with the church. Let me take these off here. I will show you on the church. Is there. So I just cut the piece out exactly, and then I laid it in there and hot glued it in right here. Matter of fact, while we're at this, I'm gonna fix this window because it is trying to come out. It must have got poked. we are going to more hot glue here. I think I need to fix this too here. This building's trying to come loose. If you need to cure something really fast for some reason, I have put pieces in the freezer to get them to harden up really quick if you're in a hurry to do something, or and that works really good. Okay, let's put like I say, this church is about 5 or 6 years old, and it's seen some tables. One other thing about hot glue is it's hot. You get it on your hands, it's like napalm. It doesn't want to come off, and it burns. So, okay. So for the moment, we will go away from the walls, and I want to show you the roof. All right, so the roofs are kind of a funky thing. So when you're cutting these pieces here, all right, so because you have grid, you're able to draw lines from, and let's see, I'll grab, you can do some geometry with it. So what I'll do is if I'm wanting to build, let's say the building is, I'm just going to go like 4 inches. So, all right, so I'll start here. Okay, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say that's my width. Okay, now these aren't exact pitches. They're just, I think I kind of went on 45-degree angles. So what I did here is now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what I do is I come in 1, 2, 3, 4, and it helps use even numbers. And then I'll come up 1, 2, 3, 4, and put me a little point. And then you can take your, this is where you need a straight edge. I don't know if I've got one at hand here. I'll use this. So you come from this dot in the corner to here, and then you're able to draw your like so. Okay. Now, if you're building an end wall, this would be a piece that comes all the way down, across, and up, and then you're just adding, you're cutting it off up here. So I would go beyond my normal wall height to add my roof height from here to here. And so you got a piece that's like this, and then it's like that. Now, you also cut the same sizes for this. And this is what holds your roof pitch to the same pitch that you built your walls. Okay? Same pitch that's in the wall is going to be in the roof. Okay? So this piece is cut the same. Okay? That's why when it fits on there, this all lines up perfect. Okay? And so what you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to cut a little bit out of the tip, because otherwise it's going to get in the way up here. Plus your hot glue is going to end up in here. But if you leave the tip in there, it's not going to allow this roof to be lined up like it's supposed to. So what I'll do is when I make this, I'll cut off just 1/4 of an inch off of that. And then that way I'll have my piece. And so then the roof panels, I already know how So I've got a bit of overhang. So you have to add that in when you build the roof. You're going to have an overhang. So let's say my building, and you see this comes from here to here. This is actually the same length as my walls. Okay. And I put this inside of it, the thickness of the foam board when I glue it in. So when you build these, okay, you're going to cut these out the same length as your wall, and then you have a little bit of extra here, and it's okay to have a little too much down here when you put these together. You can always trim it off. Okay, the main thing is that you get this angle right and you get these two pieces glued together. So once you cut this out and you cut out these two pieces, okay, now you're gonna lay some hot glue down in here, and you're gonna take one of your pieces, you're gonna stick it in there, and you got to hold these two together. Okay, this is a bit tricky because the hot glue really does dry fast, and you're gonna put the other one in here, and then you want to make sure. So there's a ridge cap on this, so you're not going to see, and it's going to be the same way the wall is. So imagine this is the roof, okay? And then I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut this piece out, and it's not going to be the right angle, but I'm just going to get it out here so we can work with it, and I can show you a little bit of how that works. So cutting that there, and we're cutting this way. Gonna be a little quick with it. Okay. You want sharp blades because dull ones will get you cut. You're having to use way too much force to make these cuts, and one slip and you're not going to be able to control where that razor knife goes. So if it feels like it's getting dull, pop it out and change the blade. Okay, so we got that cut out. Now I'm just going to, and this doesn't have to be an exact amount, you just want to cut off about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, like so. Now this is how this actually fits in there pretty good. So this is how this is going to fit in, and you can, if you want, you can take this and do this, and then come in here, push it to the edge, and scribe you a line. Whoops, kind of got a little crooked there. I'm going a little fast. So I'm scribing a line on the wall, on the roof, and then I know that this needs to go there, and then that's where I put the glue. Okay, and then you put your hot glue down. Okay, now once that's done, you got both of them set. You're going to put some glue in here, and you're going to come back and put glue here. So you just need enough glue to hold these, and then you're going to come back and just lay another bead in here and here, so that this is very secure. It doesn't want to go anywhere. And then you've got a roof. Now, let's say this is your overhang. Well, that's too much, right? Because it's like hanging over the side of the building like that. Now, maybe you like that. That's okay. But then you can come back here and say, okay, still got my ghost line. And on the roof, you want the ghost line outside. That's important because that helps you with the next step. So it'll help you cut this nice and straight, however much overhang you want on both sides. Okay. And then this piece is going to sit inside to hold your roof, keep it from sliding side back and forth, and it secures it. It's really good. All right. Now, the next part, and this is the most difficult part of this whole process. If you look at this, you see a shingle roof. And so how I built this is using, and you have to cut. So once you got your roof panel, I'm going to cut a piece of this the same length as my roof, same everything. Everything's going to be the same. All right. Now, these are 1/2-inch grids. So what I'm going to do, and this takes forever, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to draw me a line, and you want to be dead even, okay? And this takes a long time because every single line on here you're going to draw, okay? All right, now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut. And this is why the magnifiers work so well, because all the moving around I'm doing, I don't have to do this directly underneath a glass. These are on my head, and I can see so precisely where I'm cutting. Sometimes your line that you drew won't be as perfect, but you can still see it. You can see the ghost line, and you can cut. Okay, so this is going to form a lap of shingles. So what I'm going to do here is, you see how these have there's cuts, all right? Okay, so I'm going to come up here, make sure that I did that right. Yeah. So I'm gonna take my pen now, and and you don't want to go all the way, okay? You're only going to go halfway. So I'm going to, now if you want, the other thing you can do too here is you take and you scribe right down the middle of it, so you can only go halfway. But when you're cutting it, you can kind of see that it's okay. All right, now I'm going to take the scissors and I'm just going to cut and stop. Cut halfway. The line you drew gives you a guide to go by. If you go a little far, that's okay, because the overlap is actually going to take care of itself. Okay, so you can see how this has caused this to just kind of roll up. It's okay. So then you're going to do another one, and I'm just going to do this without. I'm just looking down the ghost line. I'm just trying to get this pretty quick here. I'm just going to cut down it. And if I hold it just right, you want to do the scribe of the line though, because you want this to be precise when you're actually doing it. So, and then, whoop. And I would make these longer. Actually, I think I would make these strips longer than your roof, because you're going to want to stagger these, and you want to make sure that they come out where they're supposed to. So, all right, now you want to cut about actually, you really want to cut about 3/4 of the way up, because you're only going to be gluing the last little bit when you put these down. Okay, now I have two. Okay, so I've got my roof. Okay, and just like laying shingles, you're going to start. Okay, you're going to start at the bottom and you're going to work your way up. Okay, because you're laying them on top of the next one. All right, so what I'm going to do, and this is the tricky part. So let me cut this to the, actually, let me cut this to the length of this. I'll just do it like that. So I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue down here. I'm about to the point I think I need another stick. And you can use, at this step, you can use, actually I think I prefer to use PVA because it's not going to go anywhere. And sometimes this stuff here can kind of build up. But I'm going to use the hot glue here because I don't have time to wait on it. I want to show you how you layer these. So we need, let's cut that one off there. And I'm not really sure where I want to cut this one. So the next step is to stagger. Okay, you've got your lines, so you know. I guess probably have to go. Yeah, so this is where it helps to have it cut a little bit longer than your roof because you're going to cut it off there. So it's just like that. All right. So now I want to come back and actually I do recommend PVA here. The hot glue is harder to work with and good chance you're going to burn yourself. So plus the set time. So now you got your lines, right? So I'm going to go halfway. Yeah, definitely use PVA here, guys. It's been a little while since I've done these, and I can tell now that a hot glue doesn't like to work very well. It doesn't push down. It tends to stick up too much. See how it's sticking up? So no hot glue on your shingles, okay? But now you can see how these actually have a look of shingles, and they're going to give this, because they're cut, they're going to give that look. Okay, you can see how they are. Okay, and then you just work your way all the way up to this last line, and then when you get to the top, you're going to use a double piece. Maybe I did one. So you're going to make a ridge cap, guys. So you're going to cut, I believe I used a, yeah. So it would be, I think 1.5. So when you need 1.5, that's fairly easy. You just come in here and you make a notch halfway here and here, and then you just draw a line, and you give yourself 1.5. And then let's see if I got some more of that. I'll just cut a piece here. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to fold it in the middle, like so. All right, and you may have to, you can work with this a little bit to where you get it even. Okay, you just fold it like that all the way down. All right, and then you come back, and now you got a ridge cap. Okay, and you just glue that on. So you use PVA. Hot glue gun, no on the shingles. Okay, just use some PVA, and then so after that's done, now you paint it. Like I say, don't use spray paint because it'll melt these ends, and you want to keep these. You know, you're probably, a lot of times you can put paint on them, and this actually looks like a piece of wood. It looks like a wooden rafter. You know, nice little wood look to it. It's really cool. You notice you don't see it on the walls. So I dipped an extra bit of paint on those. So that's how you make a roof. And then you just slide it on. Real simple. This steeple was this was the worst one. I had to build an inner piece so it would sit. And then just the tight, cutting these, I had to cut the angles at the top. And then I had to cut them at the bottom. Making the steeple was, wow. Yeah, that was really tough, folks. But when I got done with it, it is just, I get all kinds of compliments on that. It's just a nice little building. And so I made it in 3 sections so that guys could deploy in different parts of the church. And I don't know what else I can say about this. This took a long time too. This probably took 25, 30 hours to build. And the roof's built the same way. This was another challenge, getting this. So getting this angle took a little bit of trial and error. Laying it up on here, and of course with the ghost line, it helps you go point to point. So it's not as bad as it would look, but and this is an inverted cap. So instead of folding it over this way, I folded it and laid it in that way. And then you come in and you just take some paint. I use, especially for these buildings, because you're going to go through a lot of paint, I just get the stuff at Walmart, the apple barrel paint, and it works really well. And then, of course, this is just plaster Paris mixed up, and I used a little spatula and you just kind of make it give it some texture to it, and then of course the floor. This building has a floor, so you can see in here, and I don't know if you can see the ghost line. The ghost line is on the inside. It allowed me to line up where my little foam pieces are that hold the floor. I've got one over here. That way, all the way around. Now this is based on a piece of wood I got at a hobby store. So you can use foam board, but foam board's a lot taller. Yeah. So if it's a big building, and the reason I didn't put just a floor on the inside of this one like I did the church is because, being a hotel, it had to have like a patio area, and I had to account for these posts for the little roof here. So I just went and got a piece of this stuff from the hobby store that was, it was just the right size. It was perfect. And that allowed me to glue everything down, and then come back in and put the windows in. This was so tedious because I had to cut them exact. I mean, they were designed to fit these windows just right. And I used PVA. Hot glue doesn't work on these little wood pieces. All this was PVA. The only time I use the hot glue is putting the walls together, making the frame of the building. And then there you go. So I toyed with making this grass, and I may come back at some point and turn this into leave this granite, and then come out here and make just a grass around it. But it looks pretty good with just, the stonework part. As far as the floor, same thing. It was foam board. And then I made this piece just so that I can pick it up and pull it out, because otherwise you got to try to dig it out, and that's just a pain. Plus, what this also did was it divided the building. So these are hotel rooms, right? So these are rooms and these are rooms. So if you want, depending on how you want to play this building, you can say, okay, well, these are separate parts. This is a separate part. You just, however you want to play it, you can do it that way if you want. And then did the same thing here. I put these in. I gave myself overhang on this one because I wanted some overhang. And that's about it, folks. Without actually building one, at some point I'll go through my jungle hut that I built. But I'm not sure I want to do another one of those. That was just, whew, it was really hard. I made the grass hut roof and it came out really nice. I'll probably do a battle report at some point and y'all can see it. And then I'll do some close-ups so you can see what that looks like. So let me know what you think. Questions, comments, please post in there. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have and help you through it. Like I say, this is supposed to, when I got it, it was supposed to work. I mean, it does cut an angle, but the problem is it's hard to keep it going straight. You tend to, and just the ever so slight amount of movement when you go to put them together, they don't line up perfect. Whereas when these are cut perfect and you butt them together, it's a perfect end. And you can hide the fact that they're like that. It's just not a big deal. So, all right. That is all I have for this evening. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. And like I say, if you got any questions, please ask. I will respond to them as quickly as I can. And y'all have a good evening. Thank you.